if you're interested, the guitar I'm playing tonight is my Gibson J45. Beautiful instrument. Just put on some new strings for our show last night, which nobody saw. I'm using the Elixir light strings, which I like that. All right, B. Fitzpatrick is saying, is the action usually higher on a nylon string classical guitar than an electric steel string or steel string acoustic? The short answer to that is yes. The action on a nylon string is always going to be higher for that. Because the strings are just more flexible, Brian. So they're just the amount that the string is vibrating is just larger. That's a larger range on a classical with the strings like that. So yes, the action is typically going to be higher. Even on a steel string acoustic, that is going to be higher than electric. Usually, electric is going to be the lowest action that you have between the three types of guitars there. So great question. We'll try and get another one up here as we're doing that. Working on some new tech things tonight. We'll get that. While I'm waiting for the next question to come up, Guitar Reese is saying, what's the best way to go? Oh, here we go. He already got it. What's the best way to go about finding a solid guitar mentor or teacher? I need to find someone who is not so expensive to take my playing to the next level. Well, a couple of options these days, Guitar Reese. Hey, in this online world that we're currently all thrust in right now, you would be amazed who you can get online now. I saw one of the comments go by earlier about Brent Mason. I know Brent Mason does Skype lessons. I know Ron Block, who we had yesterday, he does lessons. Russ Barenberg does lessons. Jack Pearson does lessons. So I would say if there's somebody specific, a guitar player that you really like and admire, go to their website, contact them, ask them, hey, do you do Skype lessons? And they'll say yes or no. So you may have a shot at actually getting with one of the guys that is really one of the foundation ones in that style, if you want to go online. Now, there's some other things that you can do. I do Skype lessons as well, so you can always, if you're interested in taking from me, I have a couple of hours on Fridays and Saturdays that I do Skype lessons. You can contact me at service@guitargathering.com if you want to take lessons from me. If you are good friends over at Artist Works, they have a great program where you can be, it's kind of virtual lessons. It's not one-on-one sort of a thing, but it's like I know Martin Taylor, really great guys. Brian Sutton does lessons over there, and basically they present some material, and then you go through their material, and then you can send a video back to them with your playing on it, and they can critique you. So it's not quite a live lesson, but it does get you some personal feedback. So that's a way to do that as well. If you wanted to get some lessons in your area, okay, some live lessons in your area, here's some things to look for. First of all, ask around. Go down to the music store and ask around. Go to your favorite players and ask around. You don't want to find just anybody. You want to find the right guy, okay, the guy that's going to really help you. And sometimes teaching-wise, especially if you're on the kind of the beginner intermediate end of things, that right guy may not be the flashiest guy. Okay, so especially on the beginner intermediate end of things, you want a guy who's been teaching a long time that can tell you what he's actually going to take you through. You're the one paying him, so you tell him what you want to cover, and a good teacher will be able to explain to you what they're going to take you through. So I think we demand way too little of our instructors. We just kind of wash up and say, well, teach me whatever. And that just leaves them to teach you whatever or not teach you at all and just waste your time and take your money. Don't do that. Tell them exactly what you want them to cover. Hold them accountable. I want to cover this. Remind them every couple of lessons, this is the direction I want to go, whether it's bluegrass or whether you want to play, solo arrangements of songs or whatever. If you're not clicking with the guy and you're not making good progress, give it some time. But if you're not making good progress with it, say thanks, great, and try someone else. You want to find the right guy. And the good ones have no problem with that. So first of all, check online. There's a lot of great players online that you can take Skype lessons from and get from that. Now, the best is going to be, of course, one-on-one live in a room, which is increasingly difficult these days, but we do the best we can. While we get another question up. Okay, I see one chinchilla farmer is saying, what gauge do you like on a Telecaster? On my electrics, I use Elixir strings, I use the nano webs, and I use lights. So that's typically what I use on my Tele for that. I like the nano webs. I like the coating. Other folks, it doesn't, that bothers them. For me, I like it. But I am thinking of trying, in fact, I bought just at Grun's the other day, the NYXLs from, I believe it's Diodario's putting out the NYXLs, because just about all these major guys are starting to say that's the string. So it's not a coated string, but I'm looking forward. I haven't tried them out before, so I'm looking forward to putting those on my Tele and seeing what those are. Typically, as far as gauge goes, I like light, not extra light. I don't like 9s, 9 to 42. That's way too light for me. I'll go at 10, 11 maybe. I don't like anything really thicker than that. But generally 10 to 46, 10 to 52, something like that. That's generally what I like. Barry Dillon is saying, why are regular guitars $500? Well, it depends on what. I don't know whether you're here in the United States or whether you're in Australia, but I'm going to take it you're probably here in the U.S. If you're looking for something a little bit more inexpensive, just check the used pages. Check the marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes you can find great deals on that. eBay, check things like that. The main thing is find a guitar that you like, and then research it out and see if that's really the one that you want. Reverb.com is another great one that a lot of folks are getting instruments bought and sold there. For me, I like having my hands on an instrument before I buy it. So for me, I like going down to the music store, playing the darn thing, plugging it in, having it looked at, working it through, having somebody else play it and me listen to it, things like that. There's only one instrument that I've ever bought that I bought online. Nothing wrong with online. I do a lot of online stuff. But and that was a Godin electric, which is pretty much a standard nylon string electric guitar. So those are pretty standard. So that's what I bought that. So as far as why are regular guitars $500? Well, it depends. I mean, here's the deal with guitars, especially acoustics. The sound is in the wood. I've seen $300 acoustics that sound amazing. And I've played $25,000 acoustics that I wouldn't have chosen at all, that sound terrible. Okay? I've played acoustics that cost more than my house. I've played acoustics that cost $250,000. And is that really much of a difference in sound? Well, the beauty is in the ear of the beholder, I guess. But depending on the instrument, you can get a good quality instrument if it's set up right. The main thing is get an instrument that works for you and have it set up right. You can have a really good instrument and a lousy setup job, and you're still going to hate playing it because the action's too high and things like that. So there you go. Rick R. Blues is having a question here. His question is there a way to quiet an acoustic when playing late at night and don't want to disturb the old wifey? Rick, yes. They used to have these things. In fact, I've got one in my case, which is not around here at the moment, and I don't have access to it. Oh, look at that, Rick! Your picture comes up there I'm loving this, where I can see your question and your picture comes up. It's called it's a little rubber circular thing. It fits in the sound hole of your guitar. I want to say it's not damp it. That's another thing, but it's a feedback buster. I think that's what it's called, feedback buster. Just type that in. They may have new names for it now, but it's a little rubber piece that fits inside of your guitar, and it basically stops the sound from going inside of the the sound chamber here. And so that significantly lowers the volume of your guitar. It doesn't make it silent, but it really takes the edge off of the volume. So it'll bring your volume down by, 70%. So those are things. Feedback busters, they're little, you can get them, if it's a standard size hole on your guitar, you can generally get them, you may have to order on Amazon or something. I know them as feedback buster, so you might just kind of do a Google search on that. Do that. Kevin is saying, how long should I continue to try to perfect all of the exercises in the fingerstyle course? Well, here's the deal. When you're going through and you're learning new things, rule number one is you never want to come across anything that you can't, that's going to stop your progress. The rule number one is whatever you're practicing, you don't want to quit, okay? This mountain is too hard, I'm going to quit, okay? That's rule number one. There's no technique that you're learning, there is nothing that you're going to come across. You're always going to feel like quitting when you get a new technique or something that you're struggling with. Everybody feels that way. I feel like it. I'll be trying something. I said, I can't get that. I'm just going to give up. I'm never going to get that. Okay, so don't do that. Realize that that's first and foremost. There's no mountain that is worth you giving up on. Why do I say that? Because you're always going to feel that feeling. Okay, so what exercises should you try and do? Well, when you're any exercises, whether it's the fingerstyle or whether the anything else you come across. There's like 3 phases of an exercise, a song, a new skill that you're trying to learn. The first phase is you just try and get through the dumb thing. If it's a new song, let's say I'm trying to learn All You Need Is Love, my first go around, I'm just trying to get through it. And so you're going to clunk your way through it for 20 minutes or however long it takes to clunk your way through it. And that's kind of the first phase of just getting through it, figuring out what is the puzzle in front of you that you need to solve. The next phase after that is we start solving the puzzle. We start putting this thing together, start breaking this problem down into smaller pieces. Okay, if it's a song, I do a few measures at a time. I solve all the pieces in that thing, the fingering issues or whatever, and then I add that to the next part, and then I add that to the next part. Okay, so most of your work is going to happen in that second phase. The third phase, once you know what you're going to play, then it's just a matter of speeding it up, polishing it off, making it performance ready. Now, most amateurs, we don't really get to that third phase very much unless you're suddenly placed in a situation where you need to perform. So, but just realize that phase exists there, that you can take things that you know and have all the fingerings worked out. Now you need to make some music out of it. It's the difference between just playing something flat and making it performance. Where you have dynamics and attack and all of those other parts of it. But the majority of your time is going to be spent actually putting the pieces of this problem together, the piece of the puzzle together. Let me spend a minute telling you how to do that. Okay? All right, how you do that. Do not do this. Start at the beginning of the song, work all the way to the end, and then go back to the beginning and work all the way to the end. Don't do that. When you initially learn the problem, yes, go front to back just so you realize what you're doing, realize what the problem is. And when you actually start to work it, you want to work it in bite-sized chunks. You figure out what the... Okay, I need to do that chord there, and that chord there. So I practice just that little bit until my brain can figure out those moves, okay? And then I solve the next few measures. I could play that, or maybe I could do this. Okay, so then I solve that, and then I add it to the other. I don't want to play all the way from front to back all the time because you end up learning the front part of the song, and by the end, you've forgotten everything that you did earlier. So chunks. You want to do it in chunks. That's how you do it. Once you can play it at least a little bit, and there's a few rough spots on it, but you have the notes pretty much where you want them, then and only then do you start working with a metronome. Once you know what you're doing, then you can start working with a metronome. A lot of guys start working with a metronome too quickly. They'll kind of figure it out and they'll go start working with a metronome. They turn the metronome on, click, click, and it just frustrates them because there's not well enough. It's not in control enough to start putting you on the grid. When you do start to work with a metronome, turn it as slow as the slowest part that you play. Okay? So if you can only go, but you can do the rest of it, slow your metronome down to everything so that you can make it even. Wait. And that's how you start to work it. Great question. Robert Reese is saying, when will the November Jazz Academy invite go up? I haven't sent that out yet. I will try and send that out. You can sign up now, Robert, if you want to. You can go just to our store and or even the links down in the YouTube description below and go to the Jazz Academy. We'll be doing Christmas songs this time. If any of you are interested in doing Christmas songs with us for the November, we're going to call it Christmas Standards Academy. You can sign up at the Jazz Standards Academy, and that'll take us through that. We're going to be learning Winter Wonderland. Okay, we're going to be doing Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. We'll be learning that one. We're going to be doing Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Let's see. We'll be learning that one. And there's a fourth one in there that I forget what it is. And we will be learning all of those. The melody, the chords that go with them, and these little fingerstyle arrangements with them. I'm going to try and include some easier fingerstyle arrangements and some that are harder. So if you're interested in coming along with this, it's 4 weeks, so we're going to cover 4 songs. I may actually even throw a couple other easier instrumentals in there as well. And basically what's involved is for $80, I think we've got it on, you get a video of me showing the song, a PDF, 10 pages or more, of me writing it all out in tab and in music notation and all of the ideas, the chords, the melody, where to play it at, things like that. Then we also get a Zoom meeting that we meet once a week and we talk about it. So it's just me and you and you know, about 10 others, and we talk about the song. You can ask any questions you have. That's the fingerstyle, or that's the Academy. We've been doing jazz, and so this one, for the holidays coming up, we thought we would switch it and do jazzy arrangements of Christmas songs for November. So we still have plenty of slots available. I'll send out a big email in a couple days for it, but if you want to reserve your slot, you can go to our store or hit the Jazz Academy buttons down below in the YouTube description, and that'll get you there. Okay. Brian Snyder is saying, can you describe the tone differences between capo and bar chords? Great question, and I may need my lovely assistant to help me with this because I don't think I've got a capo handy. On my desk right there is a pretty capo there, baby. Can you bring me right there? Yep, that's the one. My lovely assistant, who's trying desperately not to get in the shot. Hey, Wes Falstrom. I don't know whether you were here tonight on this, but he got for me this Thalia capo. I don't know whether we can get a good shot of this, but this is like the Rolls Royce of capos. It's meant to be beautiful. It's meant to be a capo that is fits along with the wood grain of your guitar, and you can get different wood grains with it and things like this. So this one's gold, and it's really, really cool. So I'm just learning how to do it. So we're going to put it on like this. Where I like to use capos is when I need to do a song, but I still want to use my fancy open chords and have them work out where I can get all my strings ringing. Something like that. Okay, so that's, now if I used bar chords with that, I don't even know if I could do it. Do you see how more awkward that sounds? The notes aren't ringing together, things like that. So when I'm just doing a couple of chords, then yeah, bar chords work great. But if I want to do a whole arrangement where I want to really use my open sounding strings that ring, then I'll use a capo. So I'll put this bad boy up here maybe at the 7th fret. See, I can't do all of those sort of pulley off and little, all that sort of stuff. I can't do that when I'm doing bar chords. So that's, for me, is the difference. Now, I did a lesson. You can go to guitargathering.com and go to the downloads section there. And I did a lesson way back when on capos. And included in that is a PDF of where to put your capo to be in any key, and I give you several different options: a high option, just a regular option. I think I give you 3 different options because always the question is okay, the song is in F, I want to play it in D, where do I put my capo? Well, I answer every one of those for every key possibility in that chart. So it's a great PDF. It's all free. Just go to guitargathering.com, download that. All right. Rick Wine is saying, how often do you have to change the nanowebs? I rust strings really fast. Great question. Okay, for me, I change them whenever I need to, which generally, if I can go without changing them for a while, I will typically do that. For me, I usually try and change them maybe once every 1 or 2 months. Now, if I'm doing something official, I got a recording session coming up, or I'm playing with Ron Block, like I played with last night, I changed them before then. Okay. Regarding the rusting of them. Okay. Different people's hands have different amounts of sweat. Some people have more sweaty palms. Some people are more dry. There's no good or bad with that. It's just is what it is. If you're a person that typically has a little bit more sweatier palms, well, it's a good rule for everybody to wash your hands before you play. You don't want all the gunk of the day transferring from your hands, from your fingers to your strings, gunking up the little coating that's on these strings, getting in the wounds of the string, the winding of the string. Therefore, the string can't vibrate like it needs to, and you start losing tone. So, as much as possible, try and wash your hands before you play. If you're a little bit more sweaty palmed on that, after you play, try and wipe down your instrument. Just take a dry cloth, or maybe a wetted cloth, not drippy, but maybe just a slight little wetness on it, not enough to be drippy, and just do your strings like that. Now, there are some things that are like string coating, and it's basically just kind of a lubricant for your strings. Don't do that. You're doing the wrong thing. You'll be able to slip along the strings, but you're actually gunking up, as far as your tone, you're just gunking up. You're putting, motor oil on top of your strings. So yes, you'll be able to move faster, but no, they're not going to sound any better because you basically just schlocked a whole bunch of stuff on them. You want your strings clean, not covered with stuff. Okay? All right. And then Rick goes on to say, even when I clean them every time that I play. Getting back to Rick's question before we put up John's question, I would say in that situation, you don't have to change your strings at all, really. I mean, there's no rules. It's not going to hurt your guitar. Not going to sound really good. And it's certainly not going to feel very good. So don't feel like, oh my goodness, I have to change my strings every 2 weeks. No, you don't really. If when they start losing their ability to stay in tune, when they start feeling gunky, when the tone is completely gone, yeah, those are some serious times that you would benefit from a new set of strings. Some of the best things you can do for your guitar is change your strings. A lot of times we think, gosh, my guitar sounds so dull and gross. Man, go buy a new set of strings and put them on there, and suddenly you'll get some life out of your things. So I would say there's really no need for an amateur, if you play, basically a couple hours a week, for you to really change your strings more than once a month or two. Okay. John Sikora's question: do I like the locking tuners or do I prefer the conventional tuners? I like locking tuners. On my electrics, I love the locking tuners. I think it's great. It's easy. I don't have to go around. Typically, I put the string through the winding, and then on the thinner strings, I put it through again, kind of make a little knot, then I kind of bend one way and bend the other so that it kind of locks on itself, and I wind it up. Just a lot of work. If it's a locking tuner, I put it in there, lock it. Then tune a couple of turns, and you're ready to go. I like the locking tuners. Well worth the cost. If you've got an electric guitar that's a little wonky on its tuning, man, replace the tuners. That's a rather cheap fix to just solve that problem. Sometimes you just run across wonky tuners, and you think, gosh, the guitar is terrible, when it's really the tuners are just slipping on you. And so just get some new tuners on it. I've had that happen on my guitars, where it's just a guitar that just never stays in tune and stuff like that. I had the tuners change on it. Now I love the thing. It works great. Okay, James is saying, do I use thicker picks for acoustic than electric guitar? I like the sound of at least a 1.5 millimeter. That's pretty thick. Beveled edge pick for bluegrass lead stuff. However, I like a thinner, non-beveled pick for strumming. Exactly. Different picks, just like different paint brushes for a painter, give you different abilities to do different techniques. If I'm going to play a 4-night or a 4-hour thing where I'm strumming all night long, man, the last thing I want is a 1.5 millimeter pick where I'm going to be fighting that thing all night long with every strum. So I want something thinner. But if I'm doing bluegrass stuff where I want that definition and I'm doing a lot of single note stuff, okay, that kind of stuff, then I need a thicker pick because there's just not as much flopping around there. So I have quite an arsenal. I don't have it on me here, but even on the stand here, I've got quite a few. This is my trusty Jim Dunlop 88. I prefer the 73 or the 88s, these little nylon picks. I like these better than plastic picks because the nylon picks won't tear. The plastic picks have a tendency to tear. So I like the nylon picks. When I'm doing jazz stuff, I'll use a little bit of a thicker pick, like this little teardrop guy, little jazz pick, Jim Dunlop. These are more like 1 millimeter, 1.5. Those are for Ron Block. We used a great blue chip pick last night. Got an amazing sound. Okay, and that was probably about a 1.5 pick. When I'm doing my nylon string and I want to do some single note stuff on that, I've got a big 3 millimeter thick stubby that I use, and it sounds great on that, especially recorded. All right, Akshay is asking, in the bar chord series, I was able to do session 1 and play flawlessly with my index over the 6 strings, but in session 2, when placing other fingers for the minor 7th or minor chord, the G string buzzes. Help. All right. So here's my first thought on that. Again, without seeing you, if I saw you, it would be easier for me to determine what the problem is. All right. Here's the deal. The first thing I would check. You've got grooves in your finger. Okay. You've got just natural grooves where the joints are. Okay, so your finger isn't flat like a pencil. It's got a couple of grooves in it. Now, the first thing I would suggest is overshoot your finger or adjust your finger of your bar to where if that's getting a little buzzy to you, on the third string particularly, then I would move this up and down, see if you can find a sweet spot where maybe you're not in the groove of your finger. That would be the first thing I would check. Now, guitar's a physical thing. This is not a mystery why a note buzzes and others didn't. Others are on and sound clear. It's science, okay? When I have an open string, of course, nothing's going to buzz, ideally, if there's not a fret touching it. It's just do what it is. But if I fret a note, okay, so let's just talk about the physics involved. If I fret a note, I want to be hugging up right behind the fret, not on the fret. That gets kind of a muted sound. I want to be right behind the fret. That's the point where it requires the least amount of pressure. If I'm back here, I can still get the job done, but I gotta really mash that thing in order to get enough pressure down to make good contact with that fret. Okay, so that's the first thing. Realize here it takes a little bit of pressure. Here it takes a lot more to get the job done. So if I'm buzzing, that means I'm not getting good contact with that fret. Here's the stages. If I don't have contact with the fret at all, it sounds like this. It's kind of there's some pitch to it, but it's not even making good contact. If I barely make contact with the fret, it sounds like that. Do you hear that? It's just a little buzzy thing. If I have enough contact with the fret, it's clear. There's only three places. Either not enough contact, almost enough contact, and enough contact, okay? So back to your bar chord question. So if I'm playing and I get all my fingers making a good 6 strings are ringing out great, that's great. But sometimes if I let up the pressure just a little bit, I get some buzzes. Now some notes are clear, some notes are buzzy. Okay, it's physics. That little thing is requiring more pressure. Now, sometimes if you've got multiple fingers down, something may be touching that string that's causing it to buzz. Like what often happens if I'm playing a major shape like this, my pinky, his little rear end may be accidentally touching the adjacent string. So even though he's playing the right note, this guy is muting it out. Again, it's physics. Just think of what's going on. This guy's muting it out by his things. So the answer to that is to get everybody up on their tippy toes. And that may take some practice doing, especially when you come up with shapes like this where one finger is inverted on the knuckle and one finger is standard. I don't know whether you can see that. I'll try and twist where you can see that. To see how on a shape like this, maybe a D minor 7, I've got one knuckle that's inverted and one knuckle that's coming over like this. So check for things like that. Wesley, first of all, thank you, Wesley, for my Thalia pick, or Thalia capo. Thoroughly love it. Wesley is asking, I have a lot of trouble getting all the strings to ring out with bar chords on my steel string acoustic. I've tuned my guitar down a half step, even done a whole step, and using a capo. Here's some thoughts on that. Okay, it's all hand strength. So first thing I would check would be the level of your action on your guitar. If your steel string guitar, if the action, which is the strings, distance of the strings to the frets, if that's way high, man, your guitar's just fighting you back. It's just gonna be stinking hard to play. If there's just a lot farther you need to push that metal string down in order to make contact with that fret. So the first thing I would check would be the action. Now, ways that you can reduce action are some of the things that you mentioned. You can lower you can tune your guitar down a little bit. Some guys even, you can take a capo, like this handy dandy one that I got from that you helped me get. And that, by putting a capo on, that lowers the action a little bit. You might also make sure that your guitar is set up properly. Sometimes if there's a little bit of a twist in the neck or it's not the action is not set right. It may have good action here, but bad action there. That may need to be an adjustment that needs to be made on your instrument. You know, you can always do lighter strings if you want to. Basically, what's involved is you just need to get stronger. Either you get stronger physically, the action of the guitar gets lower so it doesn't take as much strength. Your strings get lighter so they don't take as much strength, things like that. If it's on bar chords, you got to get that first finger straight as an arrow and strong. How do I do that? You do dumb little exercises like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I try and hold it, keep it all held for 8 counts. 2, 3, 4. It's hard. 4, 5, 6. And you'll find a few days of doing exercises like that we outlined in that bar chord series. We did some of those at the beginning of it. That will help strengthen up that hand. You can't do them for an hour. Your hand will fall off. But you can do them for 5 or 10 minutes every time you sit down, and your hand will get stronger. Be able to hold that. Don't let it buzz out. Don't let it buzz out. Hold it. Okay? Great question. Rick, how do you develop and retain a repertoire of songs? I have learned many songs but don't retain them. And we get a wonderful little emoji there. How I do it? I just got to keep the song in my head. I've got to keep it in hot rotation, as they say in the radio business. Okay, so even though I've learned, like you, a gazillion different songs, does that mean I can play them all at performance ready at any moment in time? Nope, not unless you're Phil Keaggy. It doesn't mean that. You always have to keep dusting them off. So if I played that wedding a week ago, and I had to dust off a whole bunch of wedding songs that I did. So I can't just flip it open and be performance ready. I have to go through it a few times. So even things that I've worked on, and I have to keep them fresh. So every now and then in your practice time, go back through the songs that you know and play them. Just to kind of keep that fresh. And if I don't play that song for 2 weeks, then when I come back to it, it's going to be rusty. So to keep an active repertoire up, you have to just keep those songs, play them every now and then. Just write down a little list of the 10 songs that you want to keep fresh in your repertoire, and then every day at the end of your practice, play one of them and play them again. That will keep them active in your repertoire. Great question, Rick. Mike H. is saying, having problems playing harmonics. Any suggestions? Just my normal harmonics stuff. I mean, there's a couple different types of harmonics. There's natural harmonics, which occur naturally on the string. Okay, a 2-minute explanation of harmonics. You ready? Here we go. Here's the string. It's attached here, it's attached there. The exact midway point of the string is right above the 12th fret, not behind the 12th fret, over the 12th fret, okay? It's science, okay? It's science. That place is a special place. That's the actual midway point of the string. Not here, not at the 11th fret, not at the 13th fret, but at the 12th fret it happens. It's science. It has to be exact. Okay? So when I'm doing a natural harmonic, those occur at the 12th fret, and you get this wonderful little bell harmonic sound. How do I do that? Well, you put your finger lightly on the string, not pressing it down, but just lightly on the string, and then I play it, and then as soon as I play it, I release the string. Physically, what's happening is this. This string, when I play that, there's a lot of notes happening there. But Steve, it's just one note. No, it's not. Look at it on an oscilloscope. There's about 16 different things rattling around when you play that note. There's this note, there's that note, there's that note, there's that note, there's that note. all of these things are ringing to various degrees when you hear that. Why is that? Well, that's the same reason why this note, and if I played it on the piano, I could play that same pitch, but it sounds different. A baritone, a tuba, a trombone could play that same note, sounds completely different. Why is that? Because those overtones, these other tones are different, okay? So even though it's the same pitch, same cycles per second, but it's all that other stuff that gives the note its tone. So when I play a harmonic, if here's my open string and it's wobbling and I put my finger down on it, I stop it from wobbling the main note and I get the one that's harmonic right there. If I play it right here, do you hear how there's the note? If I just set my finger on it, that note which was in there all the time, it mutes out everything and just gives me that one. What if I did it right here? I get it there. So do you hear the difference of it? Even this odd one here. All of those are in that note. So how do you do it? You have to be very accurate with it. When I'm picking, if I pick closer to the edge of the bridge as opposed to in the middle of the string, it excites more of the harmonics and more of those upper frequencies, so I get more. That's why it sounds different when I play this. It's exciting different harmonics differently, and that's why it does that. So how I would practice that? The strongest one is going to be at the 12th fret. That's the easiest one to get. The next strongest one is going to be at the 7th fret. Not the 6th, not the 8th, 7th. The next one is going to be at the 5th fret. Each of these are getting increasingly harder to play, okay? And then those really are the ones that are useful. There are a few other ones up here, but it gets kind of hard to use those in actual music. So the ones you need to worry about are the 12th, that's going to be the strongest one. The 7th, that's going to be the next strongest one. And the 5th, that's going to be the least strongest one. Okay? Hope that helped. Mike is saying, having problems... Oh, we already asked that one. Chinchilla is saying, was Jerry Reed an influence on me? Not me particularly, because during the time that Jerry Reed was around, I was into jazz, really, and was not interested in the least in country music. Now, nowadays, when I'm a little bit more interested in country music, yes, his contributions to that are much more of an interest to me. So he wasn't a big influence to me at the time, but he is a great player that many have learned a lot from. Okay. Mike Cullerton is saying, can I talk about my Fishman preamp pedal? Unfortunately, I'm not using it right now. What you are hearing is just my guitar and a Sennheiser MKE 600 mic going into our soundboard. Nothing else. But I do love my Fishman preamp. Now, I've got the Aura Spectrum that I use. Don't have it with me, but I did use it this past weekend when I was doing that wedding. And so when I have to run my guitar through an amp, then I use that. What I like about the Aura Spectrum is it gives a little bit of the natural sound mixed in. It's kind of like an amp modulation sort of a thing. So it's an artificial sound, but it's the artificial sound of a mic actually miking that guitar. It's the signature of that, and you mix that in. So it takes what is usually from these undersaddle pickups a rather nasally sound, and it takes that and adds some ambient sound to it and makes it a lot better. I love that pedal. I've done it with others. That's the best one that I have found. The Fishman Aura Spectrum pedal is the one that I like. Love it. To be truthful, and I love Fishman. Fishman's one of our great companies that we love with. It has been a little... I run them to death, okay? I run them hard. And I have had the switches go out on me a little bit. And I've also had the XLR jack. When I'm going to an audio, an RCA out, XLR out, I've had that go out on me. And Fishman has been great. Every time that's happened, I send it off to them, they send me another one. So they've been great about replacing that issue, but that has been an issue for me. Now, it's not like they're all defective or anything. It'll work good for a couple of years of hard use, and then it'll just go out after a while. So, now, having said that, the LR bags acoustic series of things. Those are great pedals for their acoustic series. They're kind of wood-looking pedals. Those are good pedals. Those are really good pedals. A lot of players that I really listen to and respect are using those pedals these days and getting some really great acoustic sounds out of them. So that's great. Any last questions? Orbis Drone Services is saying, I'm having trouble learning to bend strings and developing my vibrato. It just seems really hard to get the touch. Any suggestions? Well, unfortunately, I'm on acoustic, so I can't bend my strings very easily. Although Ron Block last night was bending mediums up a whole step without any problem at all. So, wow, it was impressive. Developing my vibrato seems really hard to get the touch. Well, if you're on electric, that's going to be a lot easier than it is on acoustic. A lot of times on electric, though, we'll approach it. This is what I've seen with a lot of players. They have approached it, and they approach it very hard and very fast, and so you end up with this B.B. King style of a vibrato. That sort of a thing, which is great in a particular style, but you try and throw it in just about any other style, and it sounds weird. So, and it's just hard. It's just fast and hard and strong, and it takes a lot of strength to do that. It's not subtle at all. What you want to find is something a little bit shy of that extreme, okay? So if I'm just... It's a little bit up, it's a little bit back and forth. It's not quite as fast as that sort of a vibrato. Da ya 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 ya. Okay. When you bend, you want to try and bend to a pitch, by the way. I don't go. I'm going exactly to a pitch. That's the pitch I'm going for. It's a little bit harder to do. Sometimes my guitar will go out of tune with things like that, as I'm sure it just did. No! Oh, just a little bit. There you go. There's some thoughts on that. And work on it. It's a good thing to practice. Okay. One last question here because we're getting out of time here. Chinchilla Farmer is saying, do I like Pat Martino? Yes, of course. And are you familiar with his minor lead lines approach to most chords? I am not. I haven't listened to many of his teaching things. I've just heard his jazz playing things. But Pat is a great teacher as well. I have not been into very much of his teaching stuff. So if it's getting you some help, great. Run into it, learn all you can. All right, there you go. That's enough of my stuff. We have wasted a complete hour of your time. I'll play something else here while we get down here. Let's see what I can play. Okay, I'll play Be Thou My Vision, since I have that right here. Next week we will be back on track again for Tuesday and Wednesday. This has been fun with getting to see the questions come up on the screen. We'll have some of the technical bugs worked out for next time, so I'm looking forward to that. And if you're interested in the jazz Christmas standards, sign up for that. You can go onto the website, just look under Jazz Standards Academy and do it there. Let me get this all tuned up. All right, there you go. Hey, a little bit of Be Thou My Vision to close us out. There you go. Have a good evening. Keep up the great work in your own learning. Thank you so much for being a part of our guitar family. If you like what we do, consider supporting our channel. It really helps us out. Appreciate you guys. There's links below for anything that you need. Love you guys. We'll see y'all next time.